Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good night.
Good day. Good morrow.
It's a type of news. I'm Dr. Sherman.
I am Bruce Robinson.
Why is the camera over that way?
It's centered. It's centered.
Okay.
Don't worry.
I just
worry.
had to because I'm looking at
We can always fire our camera lady, but you know.
Nice.
Either way. Now I'm going to. We get slapped with. We don't know our history, or we don't know history in general a lot. And when we actually combat that statement, we never get any concrete answers. So to explain something, very often the older generation is referred to as the old guard. Let me give you a little miniature history lesson. The old guard is derived from a French fighting force that fought for Napoleon during the wars. They were his oldest and most experienced troops. They had been with him from day one to day ever. They were his staunch, loyal supporters that would fight for him no matter what. They were always ready to defend Napoleon, to fight for Napoleon, to do everything that they can. Is that not similar to the old people that we have down here? They're always ready to fight for what they believe in, fight for what's right for them. Always ready. They're old, they're experienced, they've been through the struggle. Is that correct?
That's correct.
However, let me tell you what happened to the old guard. At the Battle of Waterloo, after Napoleon got a royal spanking from the Duke of Wellington and, what was the German guy's name? Blucher, General Blucher. The old guard was surrounded and they got presented with the opportunity to survive and surrender. They said no and were blown to hell. See where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I think I see what you gave it.
Now, what are we talking about today, sir?
Well,
So I can wrap this all up to explain to these old guard that are about to get blown to hell.
keep in mind.
To prevent the blowing to hell.
Keep in mind that, again, as much as we present our information, to some it may seem as though it's inconsiderate, but it's just our presentation style. By all means, we completely understand that there are a lot of young people that are sitting on their thumbs, not doing nothing, and there's a lot of young people that are not stepping up and taking their place in the community and doing their best to fight for the direction of this country. But that conditioning has been made because of the fact that we are being forced to pay for the sins of those that came before us.
We're paying for the sins of our grandfathers, not the sins of our fathers anymore.
Yes, and it has caused
I'm
all
paying for
young
the sins of my
people
father.
to become self-sufficient. Like, they now feel as though they have to live their best life. They can't afford to worry about anybody else, because if they want to go to college, if they want to go to get a mortgage, if they want to get a car, they have to work.
And guess what that means? It means we're leaving Bermuda, and those of us that are staying are not having children.
Boom.
Now, I understand that a lot of people say, oh, all these people having children. That is not true.
No.
That is a very, very loud minority.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do know several young people that do have children. However, the amount of people I know that are like, nope. The amount of guys my age I know that have actually gotten vasectomies, and people in their 30s that are going and getting the tubes tied because we don't want children, because it's too expensive, it's too much work, it's too expensive. Guess what else? It's too expensive.
Which leads us to our topic today, which is the fact that pension plans
Government pension.
government
Government
pension
pensions.
is predicted to be completely run out by 2049. Now, we a year ago mentioned the Asian population situation when we spoke about the protests going on.
Mm-hmm. With the government's protest?
Yeah, and when we spoke about that, there was a whole lot of backlash about us speaking out regarding the protests and not about the issue we were trying to drive home, which was young people are leaving. And I see a lot of emphasis being put on the older generation and make sure they're taken care of. But the issue being is that young people are falling by the wayside. They're leaving. If they continue to leave, there's going to be barely anybody to pay into the pension fund, which means that currently all of us who are working and getting our pension deducted weekly will have no pension by 2049. So to me, it it is a sign of mutual respect for both generations to realize that we have a problem that involves all of us. Because as long as those before us continue to treat us like we come second, but yet we have to pay our way out of this hole, we do, my generation, because the generation behind us, they're not ready. So when our parents' generation retires and hits 60, our generation is going to be next up to bat.
But the problem is, our generation is the minority, so how are we supposed to afford and how are we supposed to handle these expenses that the older generation has thrust upon us when there's almost twice as many of them as there is us?
And I, like you said about the myth, you said, people say, wow, what you mean, ITTP, yeah, people having kids, I see people with babies, I see babies having babies. I'm like, yes, but there's less babies. So the babies having babies, it's only having one each. Like, it's
maybe two max.
Yeah, but we're already down 5. What does it matter? Like
5,000. We're down 5,000 people.
So it's like most of these people you have to take out of the equation. How many people are planning to take their children away? Some people are already going.
Actually, a population of 60,000 that's down by 5,000, that's
ridiculous.
That's almost 8% of the population gone.
And you can pull aside all of these mothers and you can ask them, do you see yourself in Bermuda in the next 10 years? I guarantee you most of them are going to say no. Like most of these folks that are getting pregnant, they are planning to go to the UK. The UK offers tremendous benefits to mothers who are pregnant and want to get education or they want to work. So what is their incentive to stay here? Almost every single mother that I know is planning to go to the UK eventually. Maybe not right away, but eventually. So
not even just the UK. A lot of other countries are trying to make themselves more desirable for people to come in because, what reason will we have to be here?
And the sad thing about this is, at the time, 2016, Minister Fay, or used to be Minister Fay, spoke about this, and he mentioned.
What, was Michael Fay a minister?
Yeah, he was at the time.
Right.
Shadow. Well, was he shadow minister?
No.
Yeah, at 2012 he was. I think he was shadow.
Okay, yeah, he would have been shadow minister.
Yeah, but he spoke about it around that time, briefly in 2012, but then again in 2016, about this age and population issue, and it kind of just blew by. And I believe that was the catalyst that was behind Pathways to Status.
So I suppose the great white devil was right.
And I mean, at the same time, there's accounts that have been updated since 2012, so that's a rap on the knuckles for the OBA because, like, what are you doing? This is an issue that should have strict, efficient financial attention. To hear that these haven't been updated since 2012 is very disturbing. And I want to hear the OBA's justification for that.
I mean, they had 5 years.
There's no excuse.
I mean, even if something wasn't done, at least like a plan was put out, or if there was something that's acknowledged that they were aware. I don't know.
Well, the SAGE Commission put out a plan.
That's not the government, though.
Yeah, but
that's
they
like,
were aware.
That's like we came up with an alternative for the education platform, and then what happened?
You said that they were aware of the problem.
Okay.
SAGE Commission made them aware of the problem, so they just blatantly neglected it. They just looked away from it. But
so they do that with a lot of issues.
I do hear the raising the retirement age to 68. The UK actually did that at one point. So it's one thing, and I did hear also raise the population by 10%. So it seems as though, as usual, we've done what we always do. We end up circling right back to what we need to do, which is Pathways to Status. It's literally one of the 3 things that we need to do that we're not doing. Pathways to Status, raise the retirement age, incentives to have children. It has to be some sort of emphasis on getting more young people to come back, getting more young people to have children, to see that having children in Bermuda is feasible. In order to do that, it comes back to cost of living, which is why we were saying to be very wary of minimum wage, because that livable wage, minimum wage thing is nothing without cost of living. Because if we have to pay more to get less in a pension, we have to pay more health insurance, we have to pay more social insurance, then what's the point of having a livable wage if I'm going to end up getting more deductions? So I end up right where I was. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not understanding why people are out here worrying about who can marry who, whether there's concessions on a beach, whether there's an airport, like it's always a plot of land or something that we're fighting over, and we're not fighting over the actual fate of the younger generation, the actual fate of people behind us, not us.
This is exactly what we meant when we said that not enough attention is being put on things that it needs to be put on. Because we really came under siege from the Rio Grande Association for our last video, including a couple of my aunties, which I found very funny. But this is exactly what we meant. We're sitting here hampering about Shelly Bay. We're sitting there hampering about letting gay guys marry each other. We're sitting there hampering about an airport that's a year into construction. Has it been a year since they started constructing it?
And what did your sister say? Didn't your sister say that 7% of the population working at that airport is Bermudian? That's what I saw in that advert playing.
And I wait a second. I thought the Canadians ran the airport, but I thought then the Canadians were sidelined by the Chinese. I thought there was a bunch of Chinese people making the airport.
No, the Canadians blocked that. Boy, that's what I heard.
Oh, so the Mounties are still building it instead of the Grand. Wait, no, that's the Russian army. I was about to say the Grand Red Army. That's Russia.
Great.
What's China's army called? Is it the Chinese army? Like they don't have like a cool name for it?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's a shame.
They have a lot of people there.
They have a big army.
But I will say that it's this issue. Like, I don't want to seem like, okay, we don't respect what was done in the past. We understand that many of the older generation had grown up in times where they had to deal with so much adversity, and they had to deal with a lot of things that we young people just don't deal with as much as they do. And I do understand that. And I mean, I grew up in my grandparents' house. I have tremendous love for them when they were alive, and they were like second parents to me. And I always found myself having a soft spot for those who were older than me, because I grew up being told about the struggle and how they got to where they are and how I had opportunities because of what they did in the past. However, with me understanding that, the older generation must understand that the trials and tribulations that the younger people are going to face are just as serious. And I feel like that's not the case with where we are right now in Bermuda, because this pension issue is extremely serious, because you're telling me that it's money coming out of our paycheck every week and will eventually come out of the paychecks of those underneath me, and they will end up either receiving nothing or a lot less. So basically we are paying for you to live. That's what we're paying for, but we will receive nothing in return.
Nope.
I feel like that should be disheartening to those who have worked so hard. I understand that you're retired, but like the post said on that political forum, you're never too old to make a difference. And I do feel like if you do really feel passionate about your grandchildren's livelihoods, we need to get behind things that will influence them for generations to come. And that has to be them paying into something that will take care of them when they are too old to take care of themselves. Has to be. Because, I mean, company pensions are not going to do it alone.
Company pensions are fine, but remember, majority of people are employed by the government.
Yeah, they're fine, but I mean, people are struggling with both. That's what I mean. Like a company pension is not gonna take care of you. And company pensions, they invest high and pay you low, so you're not really getting the bang for your buck from that either. It's like you're more feasible to put something in place for yourself and invest money than to basically rely on a company pension. But you'd have to have spare cash to do that. But since you're paying for a government pension and you're not gonna get it, that money might as well stay in my paycheck.
Might as well.
But of course, that's illegal.
Well, technically, until you're 23.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I do really think that we in this country are not putting enough emphasis, and I'm not speaking about the government right now. I'm talking about us as a country. We are not putting enough emphasis into keeping and retaining young people in Bermuda, and we know that a lot of young people right now are artists. A lot of young people right now create, and there's no emphasis.
We had a RAM graphic design show the other day.
Yeah.
RAM! I've never seen so many people at the BSOA before.
We have a large percentage of artists. Artists that by day are cashiers, by day are produce managers, by day are lawyers or insurance reps, or they do things during the day, but at night they are creators. And I feel like that is something that we need to invest in. And I'm not looking to the government to do it. I'm looking for us as a country to do what we need to do to keep young people here. that they should be able to pursue medicine, become nurses and stuff in their own country. They shouldn't have to move away to do that. So, I'm not sure. Boy, easily distracted. Jeez, it's like a mouse.
No, it's just. Either way, this is the thing. We are not the only country that's had to deal with something like this. There are two very large countries that have dealt with it, being China, South Korea, and Japan.
Oh, that's 3.
That's 3. I'm not good at math. Now, China was famous for putting the one child per household policy. And it actually did level out the Chinese population. However, then they realized that there was a problem. We don't have enough kids. China's like, wait a second. Now, I understand people are going to say, oh, they have 2 billion people. Yes, you have 2 billion people, but you have 2 billion working people. Like China's unemployment rate is amazing. Like, how do you find jobs for that many people?
You have a lot of land.
Like, their middle class is the fastest growing middle class in the world.
They have a ton of land.
They have a ton of land.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Now, we don't have a ton of land. However, it would be wise to look at the Chinese, Japanese, and Korean policies, because Japan was like, we're not having kids. In 20 years, our population can be cut in half.
They had a sex parade.
They really did, because honestly, as crazy as this is going to sound, Japanese people were not having sex.
They had sex with themselves.
You know? This video is probably going to get demonetized on YouTube. Like, we're probably going to get a strike for saying that. You know what? Whatever. Cat's on debate. Yes, they were not having sex.
Boom.
Last time I checked, that's what you need to do to make a baby.
That's right.
So, be that as it may, Japanese people were like, look, this is going to sound crazy as well, but the Japanese government was like, look, we need to get our people to start, shacking up.
Yeah, for real.
Because if they don't, we're screwed.
That's right.
We don't have that problem. We have the baby problem, but we don't have the sex problem. The problem that we do have is it's too expensive to have a kid. What Japan, South Korea, and China did was, what can we do to make it easier to have children? Now, Japan is notorious for being one of the most difficult countries to live in because it's illegal to be fat in Japan. Like, it actually is illegal to be fat.
But they make it so easy with PE and active stuff integrated into the...
This is the thing, but health is integrated into the Japanese culture. I mean, if you got a thyroid or something, buddy...
You get a paper.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. The only people in Japan that are legally allowed to be fat are sumos. And actually, most of that is muscle.
Yeah, for real, right?
It's just underneath like a couple layers of fat. You think sumo wrestlers are fat? Try fighting one, see what happens. Them guys are quick too. They're like alligators, like they're big and fat, but like...
I don't want no part of that.
I don't want no parts of that. I digress. And Korea did the same thing. Now, Japan and Korea have the highest suicide rates in the world because of how stressful work is. However, we are the most expensive country in the world. We don't have that problem. Thank God.
We have a people problem.
But we have a people problem.
We need bodies.
We need people. And if our people aren't going to make more people,
then we got to bring some people.
we're going to have to bring some in. Because the amount of Bermudians I know in America that are like, I will never come back to Bermuda. Maybe just for Christmas to see my family. But other than that, I'm not coming back. I would go so far as to say that the year that I spent at BI, majority of the kids from that class, at least half of them, are all gone and are not coming back.
I think if we had a very precise plan of raising the retirement age, increasing the amount of children that we're having, so finding some way to cut a break to a Bermudian that has got children or having children, and then brought in a bit of pathways to status for the people that have been here for 20 years, I think we'll be able to mitigate that body issue in 20 years.
I'd say between 20 and 25 years.
Just in time.
Quarter century, just in time. Because, I mean, we say 2049, but, you know, y'all back in 1999, y'all was acting like that was like the future. That was almost 20 years ago.
Raising the retirement age is just a band-aid. It's like if we raise it 68, okay, that's fine. But I mean, there's still too few young people paying into it to make a difference. And in fact, raising the retirement age 68 is just prolonging the amount of time that young people are going to leave. Mm-hmm. So we need to make more young people. So we need to look into initiatives that allow us to, you know, have a cheaper cost of living and allow us to have a incentive of creating a child.
But also we need to make young people happy and welcome down here. The amount of my friends that have gone to the States to start their own businesses is incredible. Like, I've got a mate in Colorado that's got its own business. I've got a mate in Philly that's trying to start its own business. I've got a couple in Canada, England, Japan. Because it's easier.
Yeah.
Like, and it goes back to the whole old guard thing that we mentioned earlier. Young people get so suppressed and get so belittled by old people that we have no desire to do anything. Like, how can you expect us to be proud and want to do something great for the country when everybody in the country keeps yelling at us and telling us how ungrateful and how easy we have it? When we don't have it easy. That's not true. We have it easy by your standards because the government's not got a big foot up our ass, but it still does. It's got a figurative foot up our ass instead of a literal one. But, you know, y'all want to tell us how easy it is because, you know, the white man isn't saying, no, you Negroes can't go to this theater, you Negroes can't use this bathroom, you Negroes can't do this. But, yeah, it's different now. But
we have to
struggles are still there. Like, you guys didn't win the war.
We have to convince young people that their opinion matters. And it's one thing to say it, but when you speak to people...
No, we don't have to convince them, we have to show them. Because their opinion does matter. It's just we don't feel that it matters.
Well, yeah, most people say, well, nothing changes. No matter who's in power, no matter who...
That's the mentality that's screwing us.
They say, okay, we know same-sex marriage is probably not going to... People will say it's not going to pass because, you know, the older generation is highly Christian. People are going to say, well, there's no way that these concessions we're going to just fly through because, you know, people like to keep things where they are. And I feel like there was one man who said on this forum that, you know, as African people, it's frowned upon for the older generation, the younger generation, to speak out against the older generation, even if they disagree with them. But
that's stupid.
The funniest thing about that is, in our time, we have seen the fair-skinned folk progress so quickly because they overthrow their older generation. Now, I'm not saying that we need to overthrow our older generation, because I believe also that we should treasure the ones that came before us to an extent. But I do think it needs to be a happy medium between that, because this culture of people is overthrowing their generation and they are innovating like that. That's how they came over there with their fire sticks and shot us all up. And the thing is, when we...
Did you just call them fire sticks?
That's what they were called.
They knew what guns were back then.
I just recorded a movie. But I'm just saying, we need to understand that innovation...
We were not the Native Americans.
Well, hey, innovation comes by new, fresh ideas. And new, fresh ideas don't always come from young people. I will say that. Sometimes older people can come forward with new, fresh ideas. Yeah, age does not determine whether you are innovative and creative.
It's just when that age belittles the younger one for being young.
But it gets to a point where you are out of touch. Like, it's for me, like, I can't Google things or wheel my way around technology like my little brother can. So I simply just could not be as innovative with him when it comes to that certain thing. I could not.
Well, you are pretty technologically illiterate.
Yeah, but they could run circles around us tech-wise.
Well, remember, it's all relative, because I hear from a lot of old people, oh, everyone's in that phone. Back then, all you got was in your newspapers and your books. It's the same thing.
Oh, in each other. That's why they had like 12, 16 kids. They gotta pass the time sometime.
You were just destined to stop this from being a family-friendly show, aren't you?
It's the truth.
Either way, back in the day, I can't remember the philosopher that said it, but he was complaining because too many people were inside the newspapers and the books rather than inside each other.
Hi.
That's not what I meant by that, but that's how it came out.
It has to be a medium. Like we have to understand that speaking out, I do agree that there needs to be a level of respect.
To a certain
But-
degree.
Yes, but it needs to be a happy medium where young people feel as though when they speak out, things will change, or that the generation before them will take their plight. Because right now, most young folks just think it's too much work. Like, why am I gonna go and do battle with, these folks if everything I say is gonna bounce off them? Or why do I bother going to these political meetings? Nothing changes. I could be getting an extra shift at my job. I could be at the beach. I could be having fun because I work 6-7 days a week. Because most young people have 2-3 jobs, like most Bermudians nowadays. If it's not one job that's an actual full-time job, it's probably 2 other hustles. So it's like they say, I have free time. Oh, look, it's a PRP youth conference on Monday. They're like, do I want to go to that? Because frankly, I could be resting for my shift tomorrow. I could be hanging out with my girlfriend, fiance, blah, 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 blah. If I go down there and I say what I gotta say, it's not gonna change anyway. They're just gonna do what they like.
Young people are so disinterested with politics and policies on the island that I would probably make a bet that majority of the young people on the island can't even name any of the cabinet ministers.
Well, who could they relate to? And
None of
your
them.
laws are created by people that are 20, 30 years older than you.
This is what I'm saying, and this is the problem. I commend the PLP for doing the youth thing. I know the OBA's got a youth thing that's coming out later this month, but it's all very much a very little and very too late. Now, a late start is better than no start. Credit's due. However, it's like, what reason do young people get to go into politics or even get interested in politics? People ask me if I want to be a politician all the time. I said there's not enough money in the damn world to make me a politician.
Because you'd have to do battle.
It would be constantly fighting with the older people. Why would I want to do that? I mean, I'm already fighting you lot. I mean, come on.
I do think that, like I said, there needs to be a happy medium because this pension issue is just one of the many issues that will arise by our population trend. If we don't keep young people here, then our workforce will have a massive vacuum, because what's going to end up happening is that when our parents' generation retires, we're going to have kids that are just breaking into the workforce. You're going to have my generation that has been waiting their turn for folks to retire. They're not going to have the experience.
Well, actually, by the time it's our turn to be retired, we'll be 10 years away from retirement.
But this is it. So it's going to be a huge vacuum in the workforce. You're going to have our generation, that's sandwiched between one that's too old to work and one that's too young to truly contribute. And we are going to have to try to not only pull this generation up, but also hold up our parents' generation. When the generation that is retired now is long gone, this issue will be falling on people our age, the 30 to 24-year-olds, or the 30 to 21-year-olds.
We have no trade schools, so none of the kids will be learning any trades on here.
But my thing is, it doesn't seem like really that would be the main contributing factor. It would be the fact that, our generation, which is going to be the parent generation at that time, we will be the parents. We will be filling into jobs late because, they're going to raise the retirement age probably. If they do that, we'll be coming into it at maybe, my mother is 52.
Your mom was young.
Yeah, so when that generation hits 68, I will be around...
We'll be in our 40s.
Yeah, I'll be about 42.
We'll probably be married, and our kids will probably be in high school by that time.
Which means that all the high-level jobs that are about to become vacant would come too late for my generation, because at 42, my kids would probably be like 10. Which means I would have been struggling to fund these children with my fiance, wife, for the last 10 years. And now that these jobs are coming available, we are now going to have to clamor over each other to see who gets the top spots. Because there is no programs or there are no apprenticeships or nothing like that that are cultivating this generation to take over in these big positions. So what's going to end up happening is the ones that have degrees, they're not going to have experience. The ones that have experience, probably not going to have degrees. And what's going to end up happening is that they're going to bring in expats to fill in these big jobs.
And then we're going to complain about the expats.
And then our generation is going to be stuck in medium to high level, because I'm going to say some will get high level. You know, some people are finding jobs like in banks and reinsurance and law. But for the others, the main population, they're going to leave. Because I'm not going to struggle to take care of my children. If I can't find a way by the time I'm 30 and my kid is 5 to give my kid a high standard of living, I'm going to take myself to the UK or America or Canada, where I can give my child a standard of living.
I can speak Spanish, I'll move to Mexico.
Yeah. So it's like, how are we going to mitigate that? How is that vacuum going to be fixed? Because if you look at it, that is the biggest issue. It's our generation. Because we're the glue. If we all leave and we take our children, that's it. That generation right behind us, the 15 to 10-year-olds, what are they going to do? What are they supposed to do? You have to wait for them to get the degrees. You got to wait for them to get their work experience. You got to wait for them to get their life experience.
If they can afford to get degrees.
Exactly. And with my generation all going, you got to wait for them to pour off and have kids and start looking at that stuff.
It's building a giant vicious circle that's not going to go anywhere.
And a vacuum. It's going to be a big vacuum. The vacuum is us. When we leave, it's going to be a gap. Who's going to fill it? Who's going to fill it?
Beats me, dude.
So, I do believe, again, I reiterate, yes, we must treasure the older generation. Everybody likes to see a big oak that is strong and has stood for 1,000 years, and eventually they wither. They must have seedlings to come along to replant the forest. Otherwise than that, the circle of life means absolutely nothing. And all of us are going to be poor.
And there.
How about that?
Living's too expensive.
It's been the type of news. I'm Dutch Pyramid.
I'm the other dude.
Peace out. We love you guys. Bye.
Bye, Aunt Cheryl.